Alrighty, guys. I do apologize. I'm doing my best to try and come out with videos in a timely manner, but I'm currently traveling in Korea with family, and they don't really understand the need to make videos, and I don't really have a lot of time to play video games. So I'm a little bit late on this. I figured I would go over this spawn. I don't think it's worth it. There's not a 45 cost monster in here that you would want, even though it is a selection spawn. Let's talk about Hotaru, the new one, the wind monster. So it's a 5 box spawn, 600 to 1,000. She's a 45 cost wind monster. She hits twice with magic damage for really high AP, but no penetration. So you can expect to kill some people with this because it's not a time light dark monster. A wind is a little bit harder to build against. Few people have high fire defense. Even without penetration, this monster should be quite good at least popping people's resurrection and ward and things like that. So strong monster off the bat for PvP, potentially. All allies boost health recovery by 100% for 150. It's a really interesting buff. I don't think it's necessary. You're either dead or you're not dead in this game. There's hardly any in between where you could have lived if you had only healed a little bit more. It doesn't really exist a whole lot in this game, but the healing 40% of your max HP every 5 seconds is really nice because with a 100% boost, you're going to be getting basically 100% of your HP. You'll get 80% of your HP back every 5 seconds. So you shouldn't be dying unless you're getting one shot in something like quests, which is nice. Applies grace, which applies a bunch of different buffs. I like grace. I think it's a nice ability, just for the fact that it also gives you 100 cost as soon as it runs out. So it does some nice things. It gives you HP, nullifies cost reduction, status ailment, debuffs. So it does some nice things, but the main thing is that it gives you 100% cost. I think that's really nice. We have a new max effect, applies 20% element to everything. So this is a new max. I think the last max was 18. So 20 is a new high. And I think that's pretty good. All allies increases max uni gauge capacity for 20 seconds, by 20 for 150 seconds. This is really interesting. It's not something that would be super useful in quests because generally in quests, you either have uni or you don't have uni. And even if the monster is constantly reducing your unison gauge, most of the time, if you're spamming abilities, this will be a non-factor. So that tells me that this is supposed to be something for specifically guild battles. So for example, when you're coming out of Crystal and you're about to uni, if you have this 20% additional, even if you don't have, you can have 120 uni, right? Even if you don't have 100% unison, uni reduction in, you can still survive 1 or 2 uni reductions, which means that you can attack the enemies and they will be forced to jump, or else they run the risk of them not having uni and you having uni. So it's a really nice buff to have. Treasure hunters can apply this. There are some other monsters like this that apply things like this. It's really unusual to have such a high amount. I think 20 is a new max. So that's kind of interesting. Barracks is really good. And then the field is really disappointing. It is Infinity Field, which the stats are good, but the everything else is just super mid. It's not really a PvP field. It's not a PvE field. It's just an okay field. I don't see why you would ever need both Infinity Element, which increases HP recovery, and boosting HP recovery. Seems super unnecessary. Overall, this monster is kind of confusing so far. Let's look at its awakenings. This is where I think this monster actually shines. 50, so we're going from the power creep. Remember, we were at 40 for regular monsters, and then we were at 60 for orc monsters. So we can expect the max to be around 60. We've just now broken and gone into the 50k mark. So we're getting closer to 60k. We might see 55ks, but going forward, you'll probably see 50ks, and then near the end of the 45 cost line, we'll get the 60ks. So you got star defense and fire and wind defense. The star defense is 1,000, and remember, it beats light and dark, so you're basically getting 2,000. Fire and wind are both pretty solid. Wind beats water, which is really good. Fire beats wind, which beats water. And usually water and wind are the dominant elements. However, now the dominant element is fire because of, I made a video on her, Pandora, the new fire monster. She applies a field that is just broken. Like I said, when you disable passives, it disables your constants, and people just explode as soon as that happens. So it's very, very powerful. So this is where I think this monster shines, if it shines at all. I don't think that there's any reason to throw this monster. Besides maybe this 20, the element buff of 20. But I think more monsters, generally with PvE monsters, you would want the monster to apply multiple strong buffs to your damage. This monster does not apply enough strong buffs to damage. So I think it's quite weak in that regard. I would say for PvE, it's probably close to a 3 out of 10. It doesn't really provide anything besides a field, which is not that great, barracks to yourself, which is the best bubble. It is, but it's only to yourself, and it only applies this fire, all element by 20. That's it. And there are way better monsters than this for PvE. So 3 out of 10, it doesn't really fit anywhere nice for PvE. For PvP and guild battles, it's right around the same amount. It just doesn't have enough damage. It doesn't have enough buffs for killing crystals or killing players. It just lacks everything. Now, I do think where this monster may shine is in backline. Instead of throwing the monster, having this monster as a backline, as part of your 5 backline monsters that you won't throw, but that you just use for stats and for nice element protection. I think this monster is really nice because it protects against so many different things, and it gives you lots of stats. Or lots of uni defense, which will be very beneficial for years to come. So I think overall I'll put this monster at about a 6 out of 10. Pretty useless when it comes to actually using the monster. Pretty useful when it comes to specifically guild battle or PvP. The only thing that I'm disappointed in is that this 50k isn't combined into like one slot here, and then we get some kind of resistance, like paralysis resistance. Like any type of resistance would be better than 2 separate instances of the 50k. However, I think that the overall uni defense is quite strong. We'll have to see if 1,000 becomes the new norm. Right now, most monsters sit around 700, but it depends. There are some monsters that go lower, some monsters that go higher. It depends. So let's see how expensive it actually is. Remember, there's only 5 boxes, and it's not a bad spawn. You know, you get 600 to 1,000, then 200, 300, 400 to 500, and drops of ether and awakening orbs, both of which are pretty nice. You know, the awakening orbs are pretty useless once you get to my level, like once you become a whale, or even for a small amount of time, the awakening orbs, you just never run out of them. But the drops of ether are always nice. Now, how much is it? It's 11,000 to trade for her for the scroll, which is basically why we would be spawning this. And this is the spread right here. Average is about 630. So expect to have around 700 gems for this monster. Now, I do think that some people will benefit from this monster, especially if you are a backline guild battle player or PvP player and you are struggling with surviving specific unis. I think this monster can be very beneficial as one of your backlines, as we've kind of discussed. In every other situation, there's basically no reason to spawn this. So, yeah, sorry I am a little bit late on this. There's not a whole lot of time on the spawn left. I will say she is really cute as far as like outfits goes and monsters goes. She's probably in the top 10 for best outfits. I like the original Hotaru as well. But yeah, sorry I haven't made this video sooner. I will try to make videos, but I probably won't see you guys until after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, and I hope everyone is spending time with their family and enjoying the Christmas season, and staying safe out there. All right, see ya.